Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. And in today's video I'm gonna be sharing with you my top 20 autumnal palettes. So I have this huge, let me actually show you. I have this huge stack. I don't even know if you can see all of that, but I have this huge stack of palettes here. If I counted correctly, there is 20 of them, and I decided to kind of organize them from worst to best. So we're gonna start at number 20, we're gonna get to number 1 at the end. And my main kind of points for like qualifying which palette is better than the other is how much options I get, how is the formula, how I like the color story, and then last kind of important reason for me is how often I'm seeing myself actually using those palettes in an ideal world. Obviously, just because I want to use some palettes more than others doesn't mean that I am actually gonna use them more, because some lesser favorite palettes could be rolled into projects, so I will use them more even though I might not be as inclined to do that otherwise. Or maybe I just don't have the time to actually use the palettes that I want to use. So it's not fully dependent on that last category, but it is something that I also consider, because this is like my top 20, and I don't think I can give you an objective ranking, because there's just no way to rank those objectively. So hopefully you're gonna enjoy this video. And in case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows, I love autumn. It is my favorite season of the year. Because it's just a wonderful weather. I love fall. I love like the falling leaves and everything. All the colors are beautiful, and I love Halloween. So everything that I love is happening in autumn. And genuinely, autumnal or Halloween palettes are the largest chunk of my entire eyeshadow palette collection. Like, that's what I buy the most because I just love them. I genuinely love them. I cannot be stopped. So hopefully you will enjoy this video. Every single season I do film these, usually I film top 10, but for this season I needed to do top 20 because there are all these beautiful palettes and I just need to mention them. And at the end of season, I always come back and tell you how much I've actually used them. So in a couple days, or within a week, you will see an update on my summer palettes and how much I've used them. And I've actually been doing better than I thought I would. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I always like to give you a little recap so that you can actually, you actually know if all my plans were accomplished. So as I said, we're gonna start with the worst palette, quote unquote, but it doesn't need to be that it's a bad palette or that it's a bad color story or something. It can just be that it's not really fitted for me, and that's exactly what this palette is. This is the Sinful Echoes Cosmic Crypt palette. I've tried a couple singles from Sinful Echoes and I really wanted to try their palette, but their previous palettes were sold out immediately and I wasn't able to get to them. And from this little series, they had three of these mini palettes. I really wanted I think it was like Cemetery or something. It was like a bluish, cool toned palette that was so beautiful, and I really wanted that one. But the only one that was in stock was this palette, which is still really pretty. Like, looking at it, it is very pretty. I think it's a 6-pan. Yeah, it's a 6-pan, but it's very red toned. Like, it's red, there's black, and a couple like kind of multi-chrome pinky berry shades that do flip to green or gold or peach or stuff like that. This one is actually one of those like red, orange, green, golds, which I do like to look at. I don't wear that though because it doesn't really look all that great on me. And I've only used this palette 2 times so far. So I did 2 looks with this palette. That's how I count my uses. It's not that it's a bad format. To be honest, these 2 mattes could be better. Like, they are kind of dry and a little bit patchy. But also red pigments are really complicated to do, and Sinful Echoes is a very new and small brand, so it is really hard, or I would assume it is really hard to get the formulas to be absolutely perfect and top-notch when you have very limited budget and options with like the facilities that you can use and stuff like that. So I it's not that I wouldn't like it visually, it's just that on me, I don't fully love it. I will link down below with the every single time I list a palette in my description, right next to it is my review of that palette, and underneath there is a link for purchase in case these palettes are still available. And if I do have codes, they will be on the top part of the description before all the palettes start. So if you wanna use that, I would be very appreciative. But this one, I actually loved the look that I created with it. Like, in my initial review look was really pretty, but it was one of those more creative looks that I wouldn't be able to normally wear on an everyday basis. I do wear colorful and creative looks quite a lot, but, well, I wear colorful looks every single day, but these like more linery and fun shapes and sizes and stuff, that's usually something that I can do on the weekend or on the days that I don't have to get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So if I'm a teacher, so if my classes start later on, like at 9 or 10, I do usually do a little bit more creative looks in the morning. But if I have to be at work at like 7 in the morning, there is no chance that I'm doing something that colorful and creative. I cannot, especially with reds. Reds are one of those colors that take me the longest to like use, because you have to blend them properly, use them properly. Also, I have olive undertone, so for me a lot of reds don't look good on me, and they can turn very muddy, or sometimes they turn kind of more magenta pinky rather than like a full-on red. Which I get that. I know that that's problem with my skin tone, or like undertone. But yeah, I do love the shimmers, especially these 2 more pinky ones. I do really love them. This one, I usually use shades like these with this particular flip only on my lower lash line, because on my top lash, it just, the way it shifts from red to green to gold, it looks kind of very like rusty, dirty on me with my eye color and everything. Like, it just, it's not a look that I really enjoy. So that's why. And also, it's a small palette. You only can do pretty much like 1 or 2 things with this. You're very limited with this color story, so I feel like I can't rank it anywhere higher anyways, just for the sheer size of it. And the other palette at number 19 is also here because of the size, and also because I don't actually use this color story very often. It's not something that I'm drawn towards. And it's the Shall We Makeup Wolfa palette. This is a 5-pan palette. You have 2 neutral mattes. Well, kind of. The lighter one is more like mustardy, so I guess, like, for me, it's still in the realm of neutrals. But I guess it's a little bit more interesting neutral than what you would normally get. Then you have red here, which, again, I don't mind matte reds, but for shimmer reds, I only like them if they're super sparkly. If they're not sparkly, and this one is, it's not sparkly. Like, it's just kind of more, I don't want to say satin, because it's definitely not a satin, but it doesn't have any sparkle. It's just shimmered, but not sparkly. I do love the pop of that, like, seafoamy greeny blue gold, because I feel like it really makes this color story look super interesting and pretty. I love pairing these types of shades with those warm tones. And then you have this army greeny brown shimmer. that I also really like. So I do like the look of it. I think it's a really nice color story, but I'm not usually drawn to it all that much. And most of the times when I was actually using this palette, it was for the first two shades. So that's the Wolfa, and this one I've used 14 times already because I use some of these shades in my BYOPs and whenever I'm duping a palette. Then number 18 is actually, is it? Yeah, it's actually the newest palette in this entire collection. I recently filmed a review of this. I think it was like 2 weeks ago now. A week and a bit. I think it was 2 weeks. And it's the Haunted Europe palette from Nomad. It has this beautiful lenticular packaging. This is an older palette that I bought together with the Chamonix après-ski that I haven't reviewed yet. And I think, I don't know if I bought it with the Fairy Tale Europe. I must have bought it with the Fairy Tale Europe because I haven't purchased any other palettes since. Only the Salem, and that one is still on the way. So yeah, I think it was with the Fairy Tale Europe palette. And, or was it? No, it was probably with the Fairy Tale Europe. This is one of the older palettes, or like, this was released a while ago, and it is their like previous formula. They did update their formula. I think they updated both their shimmers and mattes, but honestly for their mattes, I haven't really noticed it all that much because their mattes were always really nice. But they did improve their shimmers quite a bit. It's still not my favorite shimmer formula, but it is significantly better than, for example, ColourPop. So, like, they're definitely stepping up their game, and yeah. But this is with this older formula, so the mattes were really nice. I enjoyed the mattes a lot, and I do love this color selection. I feel like this is exactly what an autumnal color story should look like, with these kind of like more stormy type of shades. Like this really reminds me of a storm, and I think that's very common for autumn. And then these shades, which are very like pumpkiny oranges, browns, and greens. So I do love the look of it, but for me, I don't particularly enjoy the shimmers. And also, and I know that that happens with a lot of Nomad palettes, and I don't know if I should mention that, but for the first day when I owned this palette and I wanted to just like, you know, break the spine, you always, I don't know why they do it, but they also put like the cardboard thing inside this flop here. So the first time you will try to move it around, it will just there, and then the packaging is kind of broken. I don't know why they do that because other palettes just put the outer packaging in this spine area. I don't know why I don't know. Anyways, so they always break, and you do have to be very, very careful with these. But for me, like, especially since their palettes are bigger, like, I don't like holding them like this all the time to show you and not blind you with the mirror. So that might be just like a me thing. It's a little bit annoying, but I do love the packaging. Like, this is so much fun. Like, genuinely, it is so much fun. I've only used this one 2 times since it is very new palette in my collection, and I do have to use it a couple more times to be able to review it. I mean, like, it is very pretty, and I do like each of the rows. Like, I feel like all the rows are really, really nice color stories on their own. Like, this middle one is very intriguing to me. I might try to figure out a look with just this because I don't know, it just looks really pretty. And then the bottom one, also like so grungy and so deep and dark. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do something with that as well because it's calling me, okay? But yeah, that's gonna be number 18. Then number 17 is a palette that I think was released last autumn, and like it has kind of like a Halloweeny theme, and a lot of these shades also are very autumnal, so I did wanted to put it here. It is beautiful formula and beautiful color story, but also I feel like this one maybe is reaching a bit when it comes to like the autumnal theming of today. And it's not that this palette is marketed as an autumnal palette, I don't think so. It's just that I feel like those are the shades I want to use in autumn, but also it's kind of more like a almost like a rainbowy palette, so I would be reaching for this anyways all year round. But the Robert Welsh Divination palette, which is a collaboration with Blem Bunny. This was my first time trying Blem Bunny cosmetics, and I just like these warm tones with these turquoises, like I'm sorry, but orange and turquoise. I love that, and it is very autumnal in my opinion. Then these purples, I love wearing purples in this time of the year. And grays, I also gravitate towards them a lot, especially grays with these like green and this like pastel yellow. I'm always very happy when I can use this. So yeah, I don't know if I'm not reaching too much with this one, but in my opinion, like I wouldn't put it in other season. Like if I were to put it in any seasonal collection, it would be autumn. So that's why it's here. I've used this palette 11 times already, and I'm planning to use it even more because it is just that stunning. Then number 16. And like those palettes that are more towards the bottom doesn't mean that they're bad, because if I don't like a palette, I'm just immediately decluttering it to somebody else, because I'm not keeping palettes that I don't like. I just don't. If I find out that I don't like any of these, they're going to somebody else. Like that's just the way that I do it. So next palette. This one is very, very Halloweeny. And I will film a like top 10 Halloween palettes for October. So I will probably upload it around like beginning of October, just to give you like a little bit of guide. And I might get a couple palettes, well, at least one, maybe two, this month. So I might have a little bit more to share with you in that video. But did I say 16? Yeah, number 16 is the Midsummer Moons palette from B Cosmetics that I've been trying this spring because I finally got my hands on this. But it is a beautiful palette. First of all, I love the packaging, the theming, and this color story is everything you want if you love Halloween. It is a really nice formula. It's not my favorite formula, but the mattes are workable. Like the mattes are nice. You can work with them very easily. The shimmers are also nice. These two are a little bit more satiny. Well, a lot satiny. But the other, like the big pans, are really sparkly and beautiful and very like ethereal. So I am enjoying this formula a lot, and yeah, it's a really pretty color story. But obviously it's not the best formula. It's not a bad formula by any means. Like I will use this and be very happy about my look. But there's just better things coming. And the Midsummer Moons palette, I've used it 5 times. Then number 15 is something that maybe isn't like typical autumnal color story, but for me, I love using these shades dominantly during the autumnal season, and that is the Nightshade palette by Gourmand Girls. I thought that I have it upside down. So Nightshade, there is supposed to be a sister to this coming soon, and I hope I'm gonna be able to get it, which is the Trapped palette. I just saw a sneak peek of one of the shades and it is so pretty. So if the entire palette is gonna be like that, I'm definitely getting it. But this is the Nightshade. This was my second time trying Gourmand Girls, and it is beautiful. I love these shades. I love mixing green with purple, and yellow with purple is one of my favorite combinations. So Yeah, this one is gorgeous. You also have these kind of more like gunmetal deep shimmers, and it's a beautiful formula. I enjoy this one a lot. I love this one. I've used this 24 times, so you can tell that I actually really like it. And yeah, I can't wait to have this in my, like, for my seasonal palettes, I usually have them in a special shelf so that they're like the first thing I see when I look at my makeup collection, and they're just kind of a little bit better organized so that I can actually properly see them, and I'm more inclined to use these because I do love to use my seasonal collection palettes. So that's the Nightshade. Also, I just really love this long skinny packaging. It's so nice to use, it's so nice to store. Then number 14 is, it probably would have been higher based on just the quality, but because of the shades there and because of the size, I wasn't able to put it anywhere higher, and it's the Lethal Cosmetics and Avatar The Last Airbender collaboration palette, and this is the fire one. They had 4 palettes for 4 elements, so this is the fire element, and this is how it looks like. Again, it is beautiful. I do love mixing oranges with these more like warm neutrals for a little bit more approachable look, something I'm wearing, something similar to what I'm wearing today. But it also has these reds, and I always try to use the reds whenever I'm using this palette, but it's really good quality eyeshadows. I'm just not a red person. If I do wear reds, I usually wear them with yellows, so I would need yellow matte shade here as well. Obviously, I would use this yellow shimmer too, but I need yellow matte as well for it to work for me, which I can always reach into another palette. I do that all the time. Like, usually, if you watch my makeup diaries, most days I use like 2, sometimes even 3, 4 palettes on my eyes, so it's completely fine. But yeah, this one is something that I have to kind of almost force myself to use. I love the shimmers here. I can use all the shimmers. I love the matte black. It's very, very nice. And as I said, I can use these warm neutrals with like yellows, oranges. But I'm always kind of, I know that there's the red shade, and it almost kind of prevents me from reaching for this palette because I only see the red whenever I open it. But the fire pad, I've used it 6 times last year. I haven't used it this year at all, I think. So I do want to at least reach for it like 1 or 2 times to, give this palette some love because it is really pretty. I bought the full bundle of these. If I were to buy all of them separately, I might not buy the fire one, but I feel like the bundle was almost the same price as if I just bought 3 of the palettes. So it made no sense, and I wanted to try this formula. But yeah, I've used it 6 times. Then we have a palette that I was actually able to get secondhand. I wanted this palette for a very long time, ever since I saw it maybe like 3-4 years ago in somebody's makeup collection. I really wanted to get it, but it wasn't available for me. And it's the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. It is a beautiful palette. It has this magnetic detachable packaging, which is just so genius, so that you can actually have this on the table and look in the mirror. It's a beautiful packaging. Like, I truly love this. And the color story, in my opinion, is super autumnal. Like, you have these warm, almost muddy greens with the cool toned green, and then these like berry, I don't know, like this just looks like a leaf shades. I've only used this palette twice because I've been kind of swamped. From the times that I used it, it is a beautiful color story, and it actually works really nicely, but I can tell that it's an older palette, and I feel like the chlorophyll shade is very oh my god, I just put my entire finger there, is a little, is a very powdery shade. I noticed that the shade Stained Glass does hard pan, so you do have to be a little bit more careful with it. And then, which one was it? Yeah, the Mint Fever was a little bit harder to blend. It was a little bit patchier, so I don't know if that's because it's older palette or because it was like that originally. So for that reason, and the fact that you probably cannot buy this, I don't know, like I've heard people say that they brought this palette back, but whenever I look for it, I can't find it anywhere, so I'm not completely sure. But this one, as I said, only used it twice, but I do really hope I'm gonna be able to use it more this year, because I actually really like this color story and I would like to get more of a feel for that. I also really like the small, I think it was 6 pans from them, like the one that was orange and green. I really wanted that one for the longest time. And every single time I see it, I want to buy it, but then it's also like, I don't know if I really need Kaleido's formula. I know a lot of people love this brand, but I don't know if it's something that I genuinely need in my collection. So I think I'm gonna just skip that. Then number, I think it's 12, is the Cosmic Beauty Muse palette. I was always kind of wondering, because for me this color story is either like beginning of spring, like when there's still like hints of winter and everything is still like wet and dark, but also like there is a little bit of life back, or kind of the end of autumn. So I never really know where to categorize this, but I decided that it's probably more autumnal. And it's this Muse palette. It's beautiful. You have like pinky purples, these cool tone greens, warmer tone greens and yellows, and then these like berry reddish browns. I love this kind of gray green shade. That is just so pretty. It's called Antique. Muse, obviously, this pinky gold, also very beautiful. And it is a very interesting color story. I don't know if I've ever seen a color story like this before. Like, it's a unique color story in my collection for sure, and a very nice one at that. It's like a murky neutrals. I don't know how else to describe this color story. I've used Muse 24 times so far. When I bought it, I thought it's gonna be like my everyday palette, but then I started to like really pan my collection, and then I didn't have any time to like really get into this, so I've only used it 24 times, which is a little, which is a small amount considering that it was supposed to be kind of like an everyday palette for me. At least that was the intent when I was buying it. So I hope I'm gonna be able to roll it in my Project 20 uses at some point, so that I can really like get my hands on that. And then a palette that is probably one of the most used one, or it's actually the most used palette in this entire collection. And I've recently been able to hit a couple pans there. Is the Serpent palette from Makeup Beauty Shop in collaboration with Martha's Makeup. I absolutely love this palette. I think it was released in spring 2 years ago. Maybe it's 3 years now. There's a good chance that it's 3 years now. But I'm very horrible at remembering. It is such a gorgeous color story. You have these neons, which I know that aren't probably very autumnal, but then you have this like mustardy brown, then this kind of army green, this army green, then you have these berries and these like cooler tones, but they're not fully cool tones. They're just kind of on the verge, and then these like yellows, obviously. Like, it is such a beautiful color story, and I'm really enjoying that. I feel like even I don't know, like, honestly, this packaging is kind of like, there's a little bit about the snake that kind of almost seems like spring to me, like kind of like rebirth. But then there's sunflowers, and whenever I see sunflower, I just have to think of autumn. So this one in here, I've used it 47 times, and it's mainly because this shade was in my Pando's eyeshadows for the longest time. It took forever to hit a pan on. It took very, very many uses. And that way I was able to use this palette for many looks, but even without that, it is a palette that I absolutely love. And when I purchased it, I would wear it all the time. Like the first summer that this was in my collection, I might have worn it like 3 times a week. It was genuinely something that I would constantly reach for. So that's the Serpent palette. It is a little bit older palette though, and I don't know if they have it in stock. I know that they brought it back a couple times, but I don't know if they have it in stock or if they will ever bring it back in stock. So that was the Serpent. Then number 10, I have another V Cosmetics palette. It's the only other palette that I have from them, and it's the Manifestation palette. This one is a mostly shimmer palette with only 3 mattes, but the mattes are absolutely perfect for this season. And also the shimmers, like I love this color story. Obviously, when it comes to the matte department, there's very little you can do. You can either do just one toned crease, so you either use one or the other, or you can mix them all together, or just one or just 2 of them. Yellow and green looks beautiful, yellow and berry looks beautiful, and all 3 of them also look really fun. And you have incredible shimmers. Like I can't believe that these shimmers are from the same brand as the Midsummer Moons. It's genuinely insane. You also have a holochrome here. Like it is genuinely bewildering to me. And I love this palette. It's very pretty. I've actually used this one 12 times, and I bought it at the same time as the Midsummer Moons, and that one only has 5 uses. So you can tell that this one is a favorite of mine from the brand for sure. Then next up on the spot number 9, and part of me feels really bad about that because this is a gorgeous color story and a gorgeous formula. I love this brand. But it is a 9 pan, which it already kind of constricts what you can do with your looks, and it's the Diaverne Cosmetics Witch of the Wildflower. It is so pretty. Like first of all, the packaging, stunning, 11 out of 10. And then you have this beautiful color story. I love these shades. As I said, like I'm not gonna repeat myself, so obviously yellows, oranges, purples, we all know that. Then these beautiful shimmers. It's a perfection, okay? It's a perfection, and I feel like the little flowers here, like it kind of makes me think of spring, but then the color story, like it's too grungy to be spring themed. So for me, this is definitely autumn, but let me know if you would agree with this. And also it says a witch, and like whatever. Witch of the Wildflower, I was able to use it only 4 times. I hope this year I'm gonna have more time to actually try it, because I was reviewing it like a year ago and I've had a lot of palettes at that time, because I mostly buy autumnal or Halloween palettes. So obviously in this time of month, in this time of year, I kind of review the most as well, which the more palettes I review, the less uses I'm gonna have on them. And it always shows, like whenever there's a period of time that I don't that I am using a lot of new palettes, they always have lesser amount of uses in total at the end of the year than palettes that I introduced to my collection on its own when I wasn't reviewing anything else. But that's just how it goes. Then number 8, is it 8 maybe? I'm kind of getting lost. Number 8 is the Spooked palette from Gourmand Girls. This was the first collaboration we did with By the Bunny. It's absolutely beautiful. I always call this like a neutral but still fun and colorful palette, because you can do very easy neutral looks with this, whether you want to go more brown or more like orange or pinky. But you also have red, you have matte black, you have purples, you have these beautiful olivey tones. And what I love about it is this matte white, because I love using that. It's a really nice contrast. And this palette is obviously a bit older, It was one of the first reviews I uploaded on this channel, and this channel is, what, 3 years old now? So in this palette, and I think you're only supposed to be using it for 12 months, right? Yeah. So this one is technically expired, but it's still in wonderful condition. And I love this one. I truly do. I think it's one of the most interesting neutral-ish color stories I've ever seen. I think the only palette that would top this is probably the Dragon Eye palette by What's Up Beauty, if I'm being completely honest. This one I've used 20 times exactly, and I will definitely focus on this in the next 2-3 months. So that's the Spooked palette. Then number 7 is the Halloween palette from Autumn's Eye from, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? I think it was a year ago, but also I feel like I wasn't reviewing it at the same time as The Witch of the Wildflower, so I'm a little... No, I feel like maybe it is 2 years ago. I'm not sure. But it's the Trick or Treat palette from Odin's Eye in collaboration with Angelica Nyquist. This palette I've used 21 times, and I have both of the Halloween palettes, by the way. This one looks like a perfect autumnal palette, and for some reason, like, I love all of these shades. I love how they look in the palette. I love the way that they look on my eyes. And I never remember to use this palette for some reason. Like, I feel like it's too predictable almost. Like, it's, if you were to hold a gun to my head and like make me name the most perfect autumnal colors, this is what I would come up with. And maybe that's the reason why I don't use it all that much, because it's almost like too obvious. It's like too predictable. So yeah, but like, it's beautiful. I love this shade here, this shade, this neon orange, it's so pretty. Love the greens, obviously. Like, these two shimmers at the top, like, I genuinely love this color story, but I never reached for this one. So I've used it 21 times, and a lot of that was me kind of almost trying to force myself to use this, since it should be my perfect color story. And I love the looks that I've created. Like, I genuinely did. It just always slips my mind. And then the other palette that was in this collection and that I like a bit more, because the color story is, I guess, kind of predictable as well, but it's definitely a color story that is more intriguing to me, is the Little Ghost palette. I also love the packaging a lot more. It's just such a beautiful rainbowy packaging. And then you have this on the inside. And I genuinely love this. I love this pinky peachy shimmer together with this entire row. It's so nice. I love the blues. To be honest, this light blue is not as pigmented and as easy to use, but then you have this yellow, and this one is so gorgeous. Also this deep cobalt blue. It is a little bit trickier to use. This one is probably the worst formula in this entire palette, but it is a beautiful shade. And then these shimmers are really pretty. So this one was used 24 times, so 3 times more than the previous palette. And I'm definitely enjoying this one a lot more. I even have like a good dip on the yellow shade and this pink shade here. So I've been actually really enjoying them. Then number 5, I can't count. I couldn't have made this list and not mention this palette, is the Unearthly Fall Magic palette. I absolutely love this one. Like, look at this. And I feel like even though it is kind of like basic autumnal color story, I don't know, like the undertones and the depth and the shimmers, they just make me more interested than the Odin's iPad. I think it's the fact that Unearthly has better shimmers lately, especially the Angelica collabs. The shimmers are a little bit more safer, whereas these are super sparkly and very fun looking on the eyes, but still being kind of like easy to incorporate, I feel like, for most looks and for most people. I absolutely love this shade, actually. It's called Change, and it's like a soft pinky purple that goes into this greeny brown. I've actually used it a lot. I have a good dip. I don't know if you will be able to see that, but I have a good dip here. And I also love Autumn. I also use it a lot as a highlighter on the face because it has this beautiful peachy, pinky gold. And that's my favorite type of highlighter on my face, on my skin, skin tone and undertone. So that was number 5. Oh, and I used Fall Magic 22 times, which obviously it's smaller palette, so there's less shades to use, so you know, whatever. And then number 4 is absolutely gorgeous palette. I only have one palette from this brand, and that's the Sugar Drizzle Elements of Evil. I had to buy this. Now I'm kind of sad that I have it because I've been told that the packaging is created by AI, which I don't support AI art, if you want to call it that. And this palette is mostly a shimmer palette with a couple matte shades. And what I really like about these, they are colors that are normally associated with autumn and also like Halloween, but they're all light pastel shades, which is something kind of interesting. And the shimmers here are to die for. Like, I would love to shop from Sugar Drizzle more because the shimmers are absolutely insane, and the mattes are also so buttery smooth. But since I know that they use AI for their cover, for their covers, I don't want to support that. I don't think that's a correct way to do it, even if you are a small business. Like, I don't think that that's a ethical thing to do. But these shades are so good. They're so good. Every single time I use this palette, I'm just drooling over these shimmer shades. Oh, and I didn't mention my favorite. The pickled eyeballs. This like peachy pink with blue sheen to it. I don't really have shades like that. I recently bought one from Mika Beauty Shop. I don't remember how it's called though. That is kind of similar, but this one is a lot more wet looking and shiny. And I've used Elements of Evil 18 times so far in the 2 years that I've owned this palette. Year and a half, maybe. Then number 3, so the top 3, is the Haunted palette from Gourmand Girls. This is how it looks like. This is kind of like a perfect combination of the Spooked and the Nightshade palette, in my opinion. And I also mentioned that in my initial review of this, because there are a lot of shades that are very similar to both of these palettes, so it almost feels like a marriage between the two. So this is the Haunted, by the way, the ghost on the packaging, but this is how it looks like. Let me actually use it like this, and it, again, I just love these. Okay, yellows, berries, greens with like turquoises. That's exactly what I want. Okay, that's exactly what I want right now. So that's the Haunted palette, and I've used this one 14 times already, and this one is not that old. Like, I don't know, was it last year's Halloween or the Halloween before? I really cannot remember. I'm so sorry. Sometimes I am good at remembering these things, but most times I'm just very poopy at it. The number 2 is the Glaminatrix Nocturnal. I have the mini version of the Nocturnal palette. This one blew me away, genuinely, because I was not expecting the absolute gorgeousness of these shades. They're so nice to use. They all look so pretty, and I just love this collection. And again, it's even grungier than a lot of the other palettes that I've mentioned. And all the undertones and the interesting shimmer combinations that you have here. I just truly, truly love this palette. There's something about it that makes me so happy to look at, and I enjoy it so much on my eyes as well. I've used this one 8 times so far, because I think I was reviewing it last year, unless I'm completely mistaken, but I am fairly certain that it was last year. And yeah, this is such a great formula. I truly, truly love this formula. And I hope I'm gonna be able to try more from Glaminatrix, but I think they had pastel-y palette that I'm kind of eyeing, but also it's been quite a while since it was released, so I don't know if it makes sense for me to buy it now. But otherwise, they've been releasing very neutral things, and I'm not into neutrals. I've never been, and I don't think I'll ever be. So if they will release any colorful, but I was kind of thinking about the tones of Third, but a couple of shades are kind of similar to this. Like, I don't need that, and also I have that color story so many times over in my collection. So please, something colorful, something fun that isn't a neutral palette. Please, I just really want to have this formula again in my in my hands. And I love the mini version because you have a really small pans. And honestly, since I am never gonna be able to actually use up all of these palettes, having smaller pans just makes me happier about myself because I'm more likely to hit a pan on these. So please, could we get mini versions of everything? I wouldn't mind that. Also, you kind of cut the price a little bit. And then the winner. I I feel like every single year I have different mood when it comes to autumn. And this year it's this one. So the Nomad Fuji 5 Legs palette. I've been reviewing it last year. I think it was released during summer. And this is such a perfect autumnal palette. I also, do you see, do you see how it looks like? Like the packaging, work of art, love that. And then you have the color story inside. It is so pretty, and you have these fiery yellows and reds with these cool, exactly like oranges with these turquoisey tealy shades. I just love that. This is a beautiful formula. It looks so pretty on the eyes. And yeah, I unless I'm gonna be really swamped with my panning, like my Pando's palettes, I will be using it most days because I just really enjoy this and I wanna reach for this. I've been wanting to reach for it for so many months and I didn't have the time to reach for it. So now I'm just putting my foot down. This is gonna be my like kind of main palette for the entire autumn. It's so good. It is so good. I genuinely love this. And I don't know, I think this was before they reformulated. Or was it right after? I know they reformulated with the uh, Chicago Speak Easy, and I think that came out after this palette. Or was it before? I feel like it was after. But this has beautiful shimmers. Like the Diamond Fuji is so sparkly. This shade, Pampas Grass, looks beautiful. To be honest, it is slightly creasy on me if I use it in this area. In the inner corner, it's fine, and on the lid is also fine. But here in the little area between the like center of my lid and the inner corner, that's where I get the most creasing. And this shade does crease for me in that area, but otherwise it is beautiful. I've heard people say that you probably don't need that many yellow mattes, but honestly, I don't have that many yellow mattes in my collection. I usually have just like one or two in random palettes, and most of the time it's just either a pastel yellow or a neon yellow. But here you have kind of lighter, not fully pastel yellow, but kind of in that realm. Then you have, again, it's not like fully neon yellow, but it is a very vibrant yellow. And then you have this mustardy yellow. And they all look so beautiful with this color story. And like these two work beautifully, these two work beautifully. I don't know if I would be trying to blend these two together, for example. So like you can't really use that in the same way. And I think that's the reason why there's so many different yellow options. And honestly, I love yellow, so I don't think there's ever too much of yellow options, in my humble opinion. But yeah, this one, I really want to use this year and have the time. And since I've been doing pretty good with my Pando's palettes, I do have to finish a couple shades. Like, I'm dead set on that. But apart from that, all my other goals for this year have been kind of met almost in most of my products. So now I'm just gonna be enjoying my time, and then when like the end of November starts, then I'm gonna start panicking about my Pandos palettes and go full on battle mode. But before that, I'm not stressing myself, and I just want to enjoy this one. By the way, I've used this one 11 times. I don't know if I mentioned that. So 11 times. I've used it a lot last year in the autumn time because it was new. I was reviewing it and it's perfect. But then when winter started, I didn't really have the time to use it. I haven't really had the time to use it up until now, so yay. But 11 uses for something that has been in my collection for just a year is still a really good accomplishment in my opinion. So those were all of my autumnal palettes. Let me know if you liked any of them, if you agree with my collection, if there's something that you would like me to add into this collection. And please let me know down below what would be your top 3 autumnal palettes in your collection. It doesn't have to be like typical autumnal color story, just palettes that you like to use in this season. But that's gonna be everything for today. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll be super, super happy to see you tomorrow with another video. So bye.